Hello, and welcome to Exchange Online Transport, new email management, optics, and end user experiences. I'm Kevin Shaughnessy. I'm a senior program manager for Exchange Online Transport. And normally when you think about transport, you think about mail plumbing. We're moving mail from one server to the next to get to its final destination. And that's certainly what we do in the transport team, but we do a lot more than just mail plumbing. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit about all the different things that we're doing, that we're making available, and that we're going to be working on in the future for you. So the agenda today, first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we go about making some decisions about what it is that we're going to work on. And then I want to tell you about some of those things, some end user experiences like support for plus addresses, blocking, sending messages to a DL when it's placed on the BCC line. Then I'm going to talk about some email admin experiences and what we got going on there. And finally, I'm going to wrap up with a couple features that are end user oriented, but that have an impact on email admins as well when they do occur in a large scale, and those are the message recall in Exchange Online and the reply all storm protection, V1 and V2. So first of all, I want to say we are listening. The transport team, there are many ways that we get information from you about what it is that's interesting to you, what problems you're having, what might we go do to actually solve those problems and help you make your job a lot easier. So one of the ways that we do that is we use User Voice. User Voice is a set of forums out there that you can go and add the features that you want to see or the bugs that you want to see addressed. You can add those to the User Voice, and people can vote on them. And a lot of people have done that, and we take that information and we do something about it. So for example, a lot of people wanted customizable recipient limits. By default, in the past, recipient limits used to be 500 recipients per mailbox, per message. So you could send up to 500 recipients on the 2CC or BCC lines on a per message basis. But that was a little bit well, let's say heavy-handed for a lot of people, where they wanted to control the number of recipients and reduce that, or they wanted to increase it beyond 500. So in January, we introduced customizable recipient limits. And then in July, we took it a step further and we introduced customizable tenant or organization limits that you can use as a default or a fallback for those mailboxes that don't have a specific customized limit set. So that's one example where about 1,500 people had asked for this, and we said, okay, let's see what we can do to make that happen. Another example, plus addressing support. Almost 6,000 people have asked for this, and it is something that we are doing and something that we are now rolling out, and I'll tell you more about it in just a few minutes when we get to that. And then finally, here's another example of customizable message expiration timeout interval. This is when messages can't be delivered or can't be sent externally to from Office 365. We will continue to retry the message periodically up to 24 hours, and then we'll expire the message and an NDR will go back to the original sender. Well, 24 hours sometimes is a lot of time for some business critical emails, and customers have been wanting to have a lower message expiration interval, or to be able to customize it themselves like they could with Exchange on-prem. And with the move to the cloud, there were some controls or some settings that weren't available anymore to email admins. But we on the transport team, we are starting to reintroduce some of those in a safe and secure fashion to make it easy for you to better address your business needs. Now, the transport customer focus areas, while we are focused on mail flow, plumbing for sure, making things faster, making things more robust, making email be able to, leap tall buildings in a single bound. But we are also focused on customer areas that you see, that you notice, that your end users notice, that it's visible to you and can make or break your job sometimes. So we focus on 3 different areas where we work to secure, we work to help manage, and we work to help discover what's going on in your organization relative to mail flow. So on the security side, my colleague Sean, he's going to be actually doing a presentation on Exchange Online email security update. So I invite you to go check that out. I'm going to be talking about what we're doing in the realms of management, end user experiences, and optics. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is end user experiences, where I had mentioned earlier support for plus addresses. We had talked about this before, we've announced it, but where is it? What's going on? Well, we are now rolling this out, and by the time you see this, it will either have been rolled out worldwide or it's on its way. So I'm going to estimate by the end of September, first part of October, it should be available for everybody. And the great thing about support for plus addresses is it gives end users the ability to better customize or better manage and organize their email inbox. So for example, what you can do with plus addresses is when you go up to a website and you sign up for an account or a newsletter or something like that, instead of using your regular email address, you can add a plus suffix to the local part or the alias preceding the @ symbol, to make it a distinct email address that you then can create an inbox rule and shuffle mail that's sent to it to a separate folder. So for instance, if I were to go up, or if in this case our canonical Kim Akers were to go up and she was to sign up for the newsletter or an account at motherbones.com. It's an environmental site that Kim's interested in getting updates on. She would normally just use her regular email address for that. But to make it easier for her to manage her inbox, she's going to use a plus address instead. Kim Akers plus motherbones at realtruthpr.com. No irony intended. And so what that allows her to do then is to go and create an inbox rule that says, hey, any messages sent to Kim Akers plus motherbones, go ahead and place that in the motherbones.com folder. And as you can see in step 3 here, now she's in the motherbones.com folder, and there are a couple messages that in fact were from Motherbones because they sent it to Kim Akers plus motherbones at realtruthpr.com. Now there's a third message in here that doesn't look like it's from Motherbones at all. And what the heck is going on with that? It's from Contoso Loans. Looks like a piece of spam. Well, it turns out that motherbones.com was actually hacked. And the hacker was able to retrieve all of the email addresses that they had on file and sell it to a spammer. And that spammer then, ended up using it and sending this piece of spam to Kim. But what she now has done is that because it's to Kim Akers plus Motherbones, not Kim Akers, that email, that spam will go into this folder and she can immediately identify that, hey, motherbones.com has been hacked. There was an address leak and it's not coming into her inbox and creating a lot of noise and excess junk there, but instead in her separate folder. So it's one of the many benefits of plus addresses and support for it. So better inbox management. Another really cool thing is you can use these addresses to better track sales and marketing campaigns so that your campaign is like, sales plus campaign 1 at realtruthpr.com. And that would go into its own separate folder. And so you can better track that particular campaign. And then lastly, you can identify the sources of address leaks, like this one, Kim Akers plus Motherbones. There was an address leak and that got in the hands of spammers, but her real address did not, which is a really nice thing. So plus address support in Office 365 and Exchange Online. This is rolling out now, and by the time that you see this, it might in fact be fully rolled out, certainly by the first part of October. All right. Next up, stop users from BCCing a group. Now, a little background story on this. Here at Microsoft, once a year or twice a year, can't recall, but once or twice a year, there's a week set aside where engineers and managers are encouraged to go and do something different than their normal job. Go and be innovative. Go and explore some other technologies, or look to do some project that normally isn't part of your job. And the idea behind this is to really encourage innovation and creativity and get people's juices flowing about doing some really cool and fun stuff that could, in fact, maybe end up as a product or a feature in a product. And that is exactly what we have here. So what happened was is that during one of these weeks, a couple of our engineers were saying, hey, I've got this problem where there's a whole bunch of DLs where that I subscribe to. There's one at Microsoft. It's a classified ads DL effectively. A lot of people posting, bicycle for $10, act now, and people replying all and things like that. And to better manage those DL mail traffic, people would create inbox rules to send mail that's coming from, that's sent to this DL that goes into a particular designated folder, so it's not clogging their inbox. And then they go in and take a look when they have time or when they want to. But what ends up happening is that sometimes senders, in order to reduce the noise that they know reply alls can have, they will put the DL or the group name on the BCC line. By so doing, that will break inbox rules because for privacy, inbox rules do not look at the BCC line and take action on it. So that means that anytime somebody puts the DL on the BCC line, that message will no longer go into the designated folder and it ends up in the inbox. And that starts to create and generate a lot of noise and a lot of traffic that people just don't want. They want it to go into that specific folder. So our engineers who were on these DLs, they said, hey, why don't we just, because we control being able to reject a message for any particular different reason, why don't we, when a DL or a group has been put on this BCC line, we reject that with an NDR that tells the sender that that's not supported for this DL, and put it on the to line or the CC line, but not on the BCC line. And then when they do so and resend it, then the inbox rules of the recipients will work, placing it in the designated folder. So in addition to making this available, we wanted to go ahead and add it as a switch so that email admins or group and DL owners, they can go ahead and add this to their DLs. So the reception here at Microsoft has been tremendous. Some people on the classified ads DL, for example, basically said, oh my gosh, this was like the best feature in the last 20 years. So it's a problem that kind of flew under the radar, and actually customers never really talked about it that we heard. But some of our developers saw that it was a problem, and they decided to make a decision to solve this problem during that special week that we have here at Microsoft. And now we've been able to take that and give you and your end users the benefit of this as well. So the status of this is that we expect this to roll out worldwide by the end of Q4 2020. So by the end of this year, it should be fully available for everybody to take advantage of. Now, that's a couple of the end user experiences. In terms of email management, you've heard us talk before about how we're moving all of the mail flow management capabilities into the new modern EAC. And there's definitely been a lot of progress in that direction. And now the new modern EAC is now available, as an opt-in for any customer who chooses. And we have added a lot of the mail flow management capabilities, and by the time it's all done, we will have one central location for all the mail flow management capabilities in the EAC, in the modern EAC, including message trace and the insights and all the assets that were formerly in the Security and Compliance Center. And so the new modern EAC, it's going to be offering enhanced and improved experiences for admins, a centralized location, for these different email experiences, a consistent look and feel across all M365 admin centers, and a lot greater logical organization and discoverability within it as well. So the new EAC, the Mailflow experience in the new EAC and the modern EAC looks a little bit like this at the front line, on the front page. There's a Mailflow section, and underneath that Mailflow section, there's a number of different items there. Let me go ahead and pop into the modern EAC, and let's take a look at some of the different assets and how that looks like here. So as you saw earlier, you saw the domains, remote domains, and accepted domains, and the connectors, key part of Mailflow. Message traces lives here now as well, and also the alerts and notifications report that you have here. Now, we also have insights, as you know, and the Mailflow insights that lived in Security and Compliance Center are all going to be ported over here. And we've got a few of them in here already that you can see here. And there will be other sections for insights as well, because Mailflow isn't the only thing that has insights. So when you go into an insight like the new users forwarding emails insight, you can click on the link to take a look at the report for that and get more drill down information about that here. As well. And so this is kind of just a preview or a look at what we are doing in the new modern EAC. We continue to port the different functionality and capabilities from the Security and Compliance Center and from the old EAC, or the legacy EAC, into the modern EAC. And so we expect that will, by the time that it's fully set to default in the first half of 2021 for all users, for all admins, then we should have all of the Mailflow capabilities in there as well. Now, right now, as I mentioned before, as of August 2020, the modern EAC is an opt-in available experience. If you go into the EAC, you'll see a little knob up in the upper right-hand corner to flip on the modern experience, and you can take a look at it and start working with it and provide feedback if you'd like to as well. That would be appreciated. Now, in addition to what is existing Mailflow insights and reports and notifications, there are new Mailflow insights, notifications, reports, and settings that we are going to be adding in the near future as well. Because we continue to add more knobs and dials, more control, and to give you more control over your Mailflow experience, over your Mailflow in your organization, and the information about it that you need, to better drive your business. So a couple of the things that we're going to be doing in terms of new insights and notifications and reports, and this goes back to that idea of we're going to be giving you things that will help prevent disruption to Mailflow. Because, for example, we're going to be giving you the ability to see when SSL certificates are going to expire or when they have expired as an insight. And we've got this planned and we've got it in the works, and we should be rolling it out by the end of 2020. In a similar fashion, domains. You got domains that are expiring or domains that have expired. We're going to tell you about them in the insights for the Mailflow section here in the modern EAC. And the notion again is that these are pretty disruptive events. If either of these things happen, Mailflow is going to break. So instead of waiting for it to happen, we'll let you know that it's going to happen, so you can, in one location in the modern EAC, so that you can go and attend to these things in a timely fashion before they start to cause problems for the business. And then lastly, some connectors, things that we're looking at, misconfigured connectors. We want to create a notifications report on the type of misconfigurations, some common misconfigurations, such as if you're using a third-party IP address that doesn't belong to you or to your organization. That's not typically going to be the right configuration that you're going to want, and it's going to cause some problems. And so we'll alert you to that. Now, that is under consideration. It means that, we want to do it, but we just haven't got the full resources set out yet to do it. But we anticipate that we'll see something for that in the 2021 timeframe. Now, in terms of actually settings and being able to configure things, I had mentioned this earlier as a user voice issue, and that is people want to be able to customize the message expiration time interval or timeout interval. So right now, by default, it's 24 hours. We're going to give you the ability to customize it for your organization between 8 and 24 hours. Now, that is planned, and it's going to be released by the end of 2020. A second thing that we're considering doing that will likely do, but hasn't yet been resourced and committed to, but I'm looking at it for probably in 2021, first half of, is to quickly expire TLS required messages. Now, what we've heard from customers on user voice in particular and elsewhere is that the GDPR requirements are now that PII should be redacted, or should be encrypted. Email that contains PII should be encrypted. And so a lot of folks now are using TLS, making TLS required when sending messages to help meet the compliance requirements of GDPR. And yet, when an external service or server does not support TLS, when Start TLS is not available and advertised as part of the SMTP handshake of the SMTP of the SMTP transaction handshake. When Start TLS isn't available, then that becomes a problem, because what happens is that message is now going to queue up, and it's going to keep retrying to send for 24 hours. And then it's going to fail and get sent back to and then an NDR is going to get sent back to the end user, to the sender. And the reason for that is that, hey, it's like we encountered an error and we're going to keep retrying. Well, if TLS isn't supported at the server, that likely is not a temporary error. It's likely a configuration choice that the administrator for that endpoint has decided they're not going to support TLS. And so since that's most likely the case, the request has been, let's go ahead and expire those messages more quickly so that we can look to an alternative, whether it be Office message encryption or some other way of getting that communication across, while still supporting the compliance requirements for GDPR in particular. So we're looking at fast failing messages when the external MTA or server is not supporting TLS. And again, that's still under consideration, probably going to do it, but no commitment that I can adhere to at this point in time. So don't hold me to it, but I'm feeling pretty confident that's something we're going to end up doing. Now, a storm is brewing, and you know what this storm is. It's a reply all storm. And you've had a lot of reply all storms in your organization, no doubt. But what we've done is we've taken it and we've created reply all storm protection to help prevent reply all storms from taking over your business and disrupting your business with a bunch of crazy reply alls and people going a bit nuts about trying to reply all to the reply alls to not reply all and stop replying all and all that good stuff, right? So effectively, at the end of the day, with Reply All Storm Protection V1, we wanted to stop the insanity before it disrupts your business. Now, Reply All Storm Protection V1, this is currently available and deployed worldwide. However, there are some criteria about it that make it so that it's not going to impact a lot of organizations that are using Exchange Online at this time. So the core functionality of Reply All Storm Protection is that the service will identify a likely reply all storm, and it will reject subsequent reply all attempts for 4 hours. It's going to issue a non-delivery report, an NDR, to those who try, and a sample of that is on the right-hand side there. Now, the criteria that we currently use is it's 10 replies to greater than 5,000 recipients per message on a single conversation thread over the course of 1 hour. Now, because it's over 5,000 recipients, that is going to mean a lot of organizations aren't going to receive the benefits of V1 at this time. So what we're going to do is we're introducing V2. And V2, what we've got planned is we have customized thresholds planned, where the number of recipients is going to default to 2,500, but you will be able to customize it as low as probably 500, maybe 250. The lower end is still TBD, and up to as high as probably 10,000. So this is going to make it accessible and usable and pertinent to many more organizations that are running Exchange Online than V1 did. So you're also going to be able to set the number of reply all messages detected over 1 hour. By now, the default is 10. Will probably allow you to go down as low as 5. Going any lower than that is going to run the risk of false positives, so we want to be careful about that. And then we'll allow you to probably go up to about 20 there as well. And then we'll allow you to customize the block duration. Right now, it's by default, it's 4 hours. But a lot of folks who have places throughout the world, who have subsidiaries around the world, when the reply all storm, is thwarted in one region like the United States, 4, 6, 8 hours later in Japan, at their subsidiary there, it starts up again because people wake up and they start replying all to it again. So we will go ahead and make it so that you can adjust the block duration as well. Now, Also for V2, we're considering the other things as well. You need more insight to know, like, well, when did a reply all storm happen? Was it blocked? How many people were impacted? That type of thing. Well, we saw this other thing that, this email thread that was a reply all storm, was it thwarted by reply all storm protection? Really not sure. So you want to have some visibility about what's going on there, particularly for reply all storms that are occurring. You don't want to be caught off guard by your CEO pinging you and saying, hey, what's going on with this reply all storm? Why aren't you doing something about it? So that you then have to scramble with a transport rule to actually go and thwart that particular reply all storm. So we want to give you some notifications, notify you when a reply all storm has been detected, and when we start blocking it. We want to display the current detected reply all storms. As well in the Mailflow Insights area in the Modern EAC. And for the reports, we want to include details such as the standard things, subject, the date and time range of the storms, the message ID, original sender, the original recipients, those are on the DL, that type of thing, the total number of reply alls, and then the total number of reply alls that were actually blocked. So these are the things that we are thinking for V2, and likely we will be doing some of them for sure, maybe all of them, not quite positive yet, but we expect that we will have those things available by something available by the end of 2020, and then perhaps some additional things available in the first half of 2021. Now, message recall in Exchange Online. Y'all know the message recall feature, and we've talked about the message recall in Exchange Online before, but where is it? Why isn't it available yet? Well, it's coming. And it's coming very soon. But message recall, as you might recall, no pun intended, in Outlook, didn't always work very well. In fact, it didn't work probably about 60% of the time. Some of them legitimately, some of it was, unsure why. A lot of it is because the client that supports Outlook message recall is Outlook. And if you're using OWA or you're using mobile devices, which a lot of people are now, a majority of people are using, preferring mobile devices, the message recall isn't going to work because it's client-based. The Outlook message recall feature only works when Outlook is the client. So the message recall in Exchange Online, it actually works better. So it's not going to work 100%, but it works 100% better than what's available in Outlook message recall today. And the reason is that primarily the reason is because it's cloud-based and it's client agnostic. And so all those clients that you're using, your mobile devices, other clients, et cetera, for message recall, now it's going to work. In the past, it didn't. In addition to it working better, we're actually going to include an aggregate status report so you can see more easily see for whom the recall succeeded and for whom it failed and for whom it's still pending. Now, the status of this, it's in use at Microsoft now. We're going to be testing it for a while there before we roll it out to customers by the end of 2020. So real quick, Outlook message recall, this is how it works. This is basically somebody performs a recall. The recall message goes into Exchange Online, into the mailboxes. Those get synced into the mailboxes, into the clients. But the only client that can interpret it there on the far right side is Outlook, as I mentioned. The other clients, it fails. The message recall in Exchange Online, the sender will issue a message recall. The Exchange Online service intercepts that message, and in the transport pipeline, we have a message recall agent that now takes that and performs the recall or the removal of that email from those mailboxes in the cloud, so that when the clients sync to the cloud mailboxes, now that message is recalled or the message is no longer there in the mailboxes in any of the clients, right? So that's the beauty of it. That is a key reason why it's going to work so much better, why it's working so much better in Exchange Online as a cloud-based service versus a client-based service. Now, the status report, when you do issue a recall request, the sender will get an email notification, and in that email notification, in number 3 there's going to be a link, and that link that they're going to be able to click on will take them to a browser. and we'll take them to a report that's going to look similar to this. Not exactly, but the notion is the same. We're actually revamping the UI right now to better adhere to the guidelines and the consistency of guidelines that we have with the in conjunction with the OWA team. And so here you've got the ability to see recalled messages, for example. And then you can actually take a look at your failed messages as well, which are probably the more important ones that you want to see, so you know who you need to go talk to if you committed a huge faux pas with your message recall. So this is, again, available. Should be available by the end of this year. Now, the Exchange Online Transport team, I had mentioned earlier, we're listening to you, and we're working to address those needs that you have, both from a mail flow routing and plumbing perspective, but also from a management perspective, from an optics perspective, and help increase improve the end user experiences for your email users as well. Great bunch of people around the world that we have working on the transport team. And we're very happy to be supporting you and helping you. And we really appreciate your business and appreciate your interest in what it is that we're doing. Go up to User Voice. Continue to tell us what kinds of things you need, what kinds of things you want. And I can guarantee you we are listening, and we're looking at that, and we're constantly making decisions about what we can do to make email in Exchange Online better for you and better for your end users. Thank you so much. Oh, and learn more. Here's a bunch of email links that I had forgot, or a bunch of links to additional resources that I forgot to tell you about. So here you go. All of them have the aka.ms, Microsoft Ignite 2020 / and then the suffix Exchange, Outlook, time management, bookings, success with EXO, etc. All the Exchange Online oriented sessions. So again, go check those out. Oh, and don't forget to check out my colleague, Sean Stevenson, his presentation on Exchange Online Transport, email security updates. Again, thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your Ignite sessions.